Is there a correlation between effective communication and the success of a software project? Does being a good communicator make you a more successful developer? Well, the short answer is yes. So many renowned engineers have written about the importance of communication in books and research papers. Multiple studies have found a positive correlation. And today's distributed setup makes it even more critical. Hey everyone, I'm Anurag and I create videos on software engineering and productivity. The very famous book, The Pragmatic Programmer, which, by the way, if you have not read already, please do it right now. The book asks its readers to treat English as any other programming language. It goes on to highlight the importance of doing so and presents some techniques in helping you succeed at being a good communicator and a developer. Another book, The Economics of Software Quality, lays out an analysis of software projects and underscores the communication related issues such as miscommunication, unclear requirements, poor documentation being the major contributors to project failures and delays. A research paper talks about the importance, causes of challenges, and strategies for good and effective communication. Another research paper talks about the importance of communication and using DevOps to facilitate real time and effective communication. So it's quite clear that good communication is indeed positively correlated to being a good developer. But what does it take to become a more effective developer and how does it look like? Before going too deep, let's first understand the various modes of communication. At the broadest level, I like to think about communication in two forms: synchronous or sync communication and asynchronous or async communication. What's synchronous communication? Well, your everyday, regular day to day communication where you present yourself in real time and preferably talk face to face. For example, the group meetings that you have to do every day, for example, your stand up or status meetings. Any one on ones where you have a mentee or a mentor relationship, or a member or a lead relationship, or even your regular troubleshooting calls that you have with your teammates. Well, then what is async? Well, async is in your time discussions that are often written messages. So, your email, your messaging, even code documentation, and stuff that you do on code repositories. For example, creating and replying on issues, giving reviews on pull requests. All of them would be form of async communication. Let's now look at key areas where effective communication is vital. We'll take the help of two fictional characters, Ria, who is a good communicator, and Arun, who is an ineffective communicator. Although they are fictional, they are inspired by real world. Status and progress. Arun's daily status update, the one that he gives on Slack messages or stand-up calls, sounds just like yesterday's and the day before. For all we can tell, he could be headed in the wrong direction without anyone's knowledge. When blocked, he doesn't timely ask for help. He wastes too much time incorrectly troubleshooting the blocker. And when he does ask for help, it's exclusively on direct messages to avoid being judged publicly. Ria, on the other hand, provides comprehensive and detailed status messages. It gives more confidence to her team lead in determining whether she's on track. The whole team has a good idea about what she's working on and can offer proactive help when necessary. When Ria is blocked, she bravely starts a public conversation about it and gets unblocked within minutes. She communicates her need for more time to her stakeholders in a timely fashion, which they rarely decline. Performance self input. Arun writes a terse self input, thinking it has a waste of time. He misses to include the impact of his supposed achievements. He also muddles it with unimportant tasks. Ria, on the other hand, reserves a few hours to write detailed and quality self inputs because she realizes these self inputs are a culmination or a reflection of her years' worth of hard work. She carefully considers the impact of her achievements and provides quantitative numbers, stuff like the number of critical issues that she worked on, the number of times she went out of the way to help her colleagues, and when possible, the amount of money she saved her business. She also understands that context is everything and provides links wherever necessary to back her claims. It could be links to Slack conversations or documentations or GitHub messages, whatever can back her claims. Problem solving. Arun straight away starts implementation. He goes with the first approach that comes to mind. He asks feedback directly in pull requests because what the hell? Who has time for feedback before the solution, right? But because it may take him days to write his pull request, the first bits of feedback unfortunately may not arrive before that. Ria, on the other hand, spends the first 2 days just considering the multiple approaches to solve her problem and their trade offs. She documents and shares them with the team and refines as per the feedback. She picks the best approach and starts implementation, which then does not take a lot of time because the toughest part was thinking about the problem solution. She then creates a PR soon after and asks for early feedback and keeps on refining her pull request based on ongoing feedback. Client interaction. Arun is usually late in his email updates. He's often distracted during sync calls and asks minimum clarifying questions. The company's image takes a hit when he demos an incorrect implementation based on poorly understood requirements. Ria, on the other hand, is single minded. During her client meetings, she asks clarifying questions. Occasionally, she provides thought provoking ideas. She regularly records her demos and documents her work, making it easy to get feedback from clients. Based on what we have seen so far, can you think of the common reasons for bad communication? Well, let me help and summarize it for you. The number one reason I think is the lack of confidence. How often have you seen people realize the importance of communication but not believe in themselves that they can be effective communicators themselves? Well, to all those people, communication is a learned skill. It's not something that you're born with. If you practice and if you learn consistently every day, confidence is a side product that automatically will stem from your practice. The number two reason is rough written and verbal communication skills. And again, as with confidence, this is something that can be learned. The more you practice, the more refined your communication skills will be. And it's important to differentiate between written and verbal communication skills. Both of them are two different modes, require two different personalities. So you could be good or great at written communication, but not so much in the verbal format. Again, both of them can be learned and perfected. The third reason is, I think, poor articulation skills. So you have the words, you are good at English or whatever language that you are comfortable communicating in. It's just that you cannot get your thoughts focused on the main point to be communicated. So in your client calls, you keep on digressing, or while troubleshooting, you just cannot seem to stick to the main problem at hand, and your thoughts are like all over the place. Good articulation helps you shorten time, be more effective, be more productive, both in verbal and written formats. And finally, I think a lot of times it's just an overemphasis on technical skills that make people bad communicator or make them ignorant. Let's quickly have a look at some ways to improve our communication skills. Despite being an avid book reader, I would prefer not to start with books. I would prefer to start with something more practical. I believe that as human beings, we learn best in groups, and that would be my preferred choice. You see, there are several non-profit structured groups around the world that help you become better at speaking, articulation, and several modes of communications. The first name that comes to mind is Toastmasters. If you've never heard of it, please check their website. They are such a global and such a popular organization. It's almost impossible to not find a local chapter in your city, especially if you live in a tier 1 or a tier 2 city. The second option that comes to mind is something like a local meetup. So go to meetup.com and look for meetups on topics that interest you or something that is the need of the hour. So for example, if you're interested in React.js or Angular, just look for meetups on those topics. You'll be surprised to find a lot of local meetups, and that could be your opportunity to learn from people who like to speak at such events. Maybe an opportunity for you to organize a meetup yourself, communicate with all these stakeholders like the venue, the speakers, and the audience. It's a great practice playground. Now, talking about books, there are several on this topics, but I'll keep this list short. I'll start with one book that, if there was only one book in this world, this would be it to go for. The book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a beautiful collection of real world stories. It presents you with battle tested techniques to help you become a better communicator. Another book that comes to mind is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And then there is Atomic Habits to learn the skill of sticking to consistent learning and practicing. One book that I read in college that helped me become better at English was Word Power Made Easy. Other than books, have a look at courses at websites like Udemy or Pluralsight and similar such platforms, wherever you can find a subscription handy. Doing a course is definitely better than reading books. You can do them on your own pace, but still, I don't think anything can beat practice. Do your practice daily. Just practice, practice, practice. And do remember that group based learning is indeed pretty effective. Thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe if you would like to stay on top of more such videos. Until next time, adios.